Welcome to Online Art Time with Mr. Denny. In this video, we're going to be drawing 4-point perspective. That's 4 points. This is going to be tricky. It's going to be a bit warped. It's going to be difficult. Yeah, this is going to get difficult. But you can do this. You can do it. I know you can. When we're done with the video, you might want to go and do a Google search and look for 4-point perspective images. It might give you some ideas and inspiration. You might also want to subscribe to my video. I think it's down on that corner. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's have fun. Let's give it a try. The materials you'll need for this art project are very simple. You'll need a piece of paper. You'll need a pencil. You'll need a ruler. You maybe need a rubber, perhaps a pencil sharpener. You might need some colored pencils. These are optional. I'm using brown for the horizon. I'm using blue for vanishing point 1. I'm using purple for vanishing point 2. I'm using red for vanishing point 3 and 4. And perhaps a pen to darken up some of your lines. It makes things bold and neat. In 4-point perspective, you can start to see the curvature of things around you. Oh, that's nice. Oh, yeah. I like that curvature, though. To draw a 4-point perspective, we need to start by making a horizon line. Straight across the middle, we're going to make a horizon line. Nice and soft. We're then going to add our vanishing points. This is vanishing point 1. This is vanishing point 2. Straight down the middle, I'm going to draw a line. Very soft. Near the bottom here, this is vanishing point 3. And near the top is vanishing point 4. We're going to start by making a series of curves. To do this and make them even, I'm going to start by putting my ruler here at 10 centimeters. That's 10 centimeters, you see? 10 centimeters. Yes, 10. I put that right on the line for between 4 and 3, and I'm going to measure back. Just make a little mark between 9, and there's 8, and there's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Now on the other side, I'm going to go to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Wow, fabulous. To make the curves, we're going to start right here, and we're going to make a curve that goes between number 3 and number 4. Oh, we're going to start down here, I guess. Let's start number 3 and curve it up so it touches there, and to number 4. Nice and smooth. We're going to try that on the other side as well. I'm going to try and just guess where it goes. It's not easy. You could probably download something. And continuing that, I'm going to try and make a curve from here to there. And I'll try that again on this side. Like I said, it's not easy, but you try your best. And continuing that. They're going to kind of start to round now a wee bit. They're going to start to get a bit rounder. Oops. Maybe a bit too round. If you make a mistake, kind of like I'm doing, it's really fine. We're learning, and this is all kind of a learning, which is difficult. And that one's almost round. Look at that. That's almost round. Okay, I'm going to complete the other side. Maybe that one come out a wee bit more. There we go. There's some curves. I'm going to outline the outside here and make this outside one just a wee bit darker to kind of show that it's a ball or a sphere. Now it's time to make the leading edge of a cuboid. So to make my leading edge of the cuboid, I'm going to start by just drawing on this curved line really hard an area just like that. I'm going to now make my vanishing points to number 1 from the top and the bottom, just like we did in 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point perspective. I'm going to make my guidelines to vanishing point number 2, just like I did in 1 point perspective, and 2 point perspective, and 3 point perspective. I'm going to draw the front of the cuboid here. On the red line. And right here I can darken that bottom edge, and I can darken the top. I think I'm going to use a pen for this, just to make it really obvious that this is our cuboid. I'm going to now make the side of the cuboid, and to do that, all I have to do is between these two guidelines, darken that line there. So again, I'm going to use my pen to make sure that's nice and dark, and then I can darken the bottom and the side there, the top side. Okay, you can start to see the cuboid emerging. I'm going to now make the guideline from this corner to number 1, just like we did before. And I'm going to make my guideline from this corner to number 2. And there's my yo-yo-yo crisscross. Now I'm going to darken that top edge right on the guidelines, and there's a cuboid in 4-point perspective. Now I'm going to pretend that there's a light over here somewhere. Just somewhere over here, just right in this section right there. If that's true, this side is going to get a bit of shadow. So I'm going to use like a number 2 tone. I'm going to tone in this side a wee bit. Oh, that's nice. The top's going to be white, so I'm going to add some very soft, very, very soft, and some smudging around the top to make that top look white. To make the white, don't draw it, draw around it. Then today, I'm going to make the shadow going towards vanishing point number 1. To do this, I'm just going to kind of put my pencil here at this edge. I'm going to point it to number 1. I'm going to make a guideline that goes back that direction. And that guideline shows me where the shadow is going to be today. There we go. And a bit of smudging. There we go. There's a cuboid in 4-point perspective. Let's now try a cuboid above the horizon line so we can see the bottom of it. So following that line up here, see that leading edge, I'm going to follow that line right up here, and up here I'm going to make, just like that, a dark edge. Again, I'm going to start to use my pen for this to really show that this is dark. I'm going to make my guidelines to number 1. My guidelines to number 2. I'm going to darken the edges and the top. Notice I followed the curve. I'm going to now make the other side of the cuboid. That's right there. I'm going to follow it up. Make the bottom of that. Now I need to make my guidelines to number 1 from the bottom here to get my yo-yo-yo crisscross. I need my guideline to number 2 from this corner. Need to darken that in. I need to add my shadows. Use number 1 tone under here to show that it's really dark because it's up above the horizon line. You can see underneath it, the light wouldn't be shining into there. And there's no cast shadow on the ground because it's too far away. I could put it far away if I wanted to, though. If I wanted to show it, I could put it way over here somewhere, you know. In between those two guidelines, there's a little shadow of it over there, way over there, far in the distance. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to now try a cuboid that goes from the bottom of the horizon line over to the top of the horizon line. So we're going to pick a space on this curve between 3 and 4. I'm going to follow it up. I think I'm going to go over here a bit more. Go all the way from below my horizon line all the way up to above the horizon line. Notice I chose these two guidelines to stay in just because it's already there. Now I'm going to darken that edge using my pen, make it really obvious. Now I'm going to make my guidelines to number 1. And my guidelines to number 2. But they're already there, look. Now I'm going to make the side of this cuboid dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one of these curved lines to make it. And I'm going to go to that one. I'm going to follow this between 3 and 4 in a curve. It curves. In 4-point perspective, the lines that go up and down curve. I'm going to now darken the sides of the front of this. Like I said, the sides that go up and down between number 3 and 4 curve. Darken the top. And there's my cuboid in 4-point perspective that's below and above the horizon line. Now again, I'm going to give it some shadow here. give it some cast shadow. So I'm going to make my guideline to number 2. And I'm going to shade that in really softly using my number 3 tone in the side of my pencil. I'm going to come out of there a little bit more so I can see it looks long. It's a taller building, so it'll be longer. There we go. It's starting to look like if you were looking out of a fisheye lens or a camera lens. I'm going to try another one. I think I'm going to make one over here that's really tall. I'm going to put one, I think, right here in line with this building. So I'm going to make it go way up here, close to number 4 up there. Look at that, it's way up there. I'm going to darken that edge with a pen. I make my guidelines number 1. There's that guideline. From up there, I'm going to make my guideline. Oops. It's a bit curvy up there, isn't it? I'm going to make my guideline to number 2. That point. From there to number 2. Darken this right here. I'm going to follow that guideline right up. That guideline between 3 and 4. Remember, between 3 and 4, they curve up. Right at the top of that. Okay, now do the bottom and this side. There, following that guideline and following that curved guideline right up. And then I'm going to follow that blue one. There you go. Look at that. That really looks warped. Crazy. Give it some shadow. Give it some more shadow down here, cast shadow. Oops, I don't want to go off this circle. I'm going to leave it on this circle here. I could, but I'm going to choose to leave it on that circle. Now I'm going to add more cuboids. Let's see, I think I'm going to add one over here. Make this building quite tall. Again, I'm going to darken that edge. Make my guidelines. Start at the bottom. Always go to number 1 first. And number 2. I mean, see, we still at number 1. We start at the top and we come across. And my guidelines to number 2. That one's already there. Look, that one's already there. Then I can start to darken that front. See, it really curves. I can make that side. That bottom bit, look at that curvy bit. My shadow. I'm going to add my cast shadow. The more cuboids you add, the better. I'm going to try another cuboid in here, just at the horizon line. I'm going to add my shadows. The shadow on the ground would just be like that, right on the horizon line. I'm going to add another building back in here. Can't see the top of this one, but there's the bottom. So guideline to this side. Add my shadow. And my cast shadow. Awesome! Adding windows is quite easy. We're just going to make some guidelines that follow between 3 and 4. So I'm just going to make 4 guidelines right in there. There's one there. Guideline over there. Between 3 and 4. And I want to do some guidelines on the side too. So between 3, it's always following that curve. So if you see that curve in there, I'm going to follow that curve. And then that curve there, I'm going to follow that curve. See how these guidelines are curved? They always go between 3 and 4. That's the secret. Then I make my guidelines back to number 1. So I'm going to make a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. So here we go. 6 lines back to number 1. Notice I don't go all the way with them. I just line up that dot where I made my... And look, I just kind of give it a flick. Doesn't even have to come off that building, but you kind of get the idea. There's that next one. I'm trying to be accurate over there. I'm trying to line it up carefully. I'm going to make guidelines to number 2, starting right at that corner where that blue line meets, where that number 1 line meets. Now that I've made my guidelines, I'm going to darken up these areas. I'm just going to follow the guidelines and stay neatly inside them very carefully. Staying inside those guidelines, following those guidelines that I made. Nice and carefully. Notice the sides of the windows curve towards number 3 and number 4, don't they? I'm going to now darken them in. So I'm just going to push nice and hard. I'm going to color those in with a number 1 tone. That's pretty good. I kind of like that. To draw roads in 4-point perspective, it's quite simple. We just make some guidelines. I think I'm going to make one next to that building, and next to that building I'm going to make a road. So I'll make my guidelines for number 1. Make my next guideline for the other side of the street. I'm going to make my guidelines for number 2. I'm going to darken the road. I'm going to make the middle parts of the road. I'm going to make a background now. Far, far away, I'm going to make a cityscape again. Just going to right along that horizon line. I'm going to make just like this. Just like I've done before. I'm going to shade that in a bit. Probably should have followed that curve a little bit there. I'm going to make a tree down here in this section. To make a tree is quite interesting because the roots of the tree are down here. The trunk of the tree follows that line, and the top of the tree follows that line as well. It's a bit curvy, a bit bendy. It looks a bit warped. I'm going to give it some cross hatching. Shade that trunk in a wee bit more. think I'm going to make some light posts right down this area here. Follow that curvature between 3 and 4. I'm going to make my mark right there. There's a light post. I'm going to now, for the light post, make a guideline so I can line up the rest of the tops of the lights, and I'm going to make the bottom guideline so I'm going to line up the bottom of the lights. I'm going to put a light over here. It's behind that building. Oh, it follows that curve, doesn't it? There. And here comes another one. It's following that curve between the guidelines. And I want to follow that curve. I'm going to put another one over here, but again, it's in that guideline there. Let's find that guideline. There it is. Follows that curve. And again, it follows that curve. Look at that. This one over here follows that curve. They get a bit closer together as they come out here. All right. I'm going to try a street light over here. Follow that curve. Came in. I'm going to put a rectangle that follows that curve there. There we go. I'm going to go back over a few of these things to darken them. Make them so they pop out. There you go. 4-point perspective. That's not bad. We did well. I really like that. That's really fun. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed that. I hope you did too. Ciao for now. Welcome to Online Art Time with Mr. Denny. That's me. In this video, we're going to be... forget that. Let's try again. Goodness gracious me. You might also want to subscribe to my video. I think it's down in that corner. You might want to subscribe to the video. It may be down in that corner. I'm not sure. Okay. Take 2. Yeah, you can see that. Hold on, I'm going to get something.